Nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down.
We're about to hear of another process and more tools, and the thing that I have learned, and that Andy has also learned, is that there aren't enough tools in the universe when the train pulls into Crazy Town. And you know what? That train pulls into Crazy Town whether we're an addict, an Al-Anon, or just a regular fucking human being. And I don't know anybody on the planet really who isn't an Al-Anon, because an Al-Anon is just somebody that knows somebody who's got a thing. And who doesn't know somebody that's got a thing? Who doesn't have to? But anyway, but we all need tools, and so we're about to get a big dose of them, and I'm so thrilled. Okay, so let me, okay. Yeah. Successful women in show business are my heroes. It's fucking tough out there, and in here it's not, but in here, in the rooms of show business, it is tough. I am thrilled to have Tracy Jackson. She wrote the films Confessions of a Shopaholic, The Guru, and The Other End of the Line, among others. She's also written 12 TV pilots and created the series Babes for Fox. Tracy wrote, directed, and starred in the controversial documentary Lucky Ducks, which can be seen on Amazon, Journeyman Docs, and pay-per-view. Her first book, Between a Rock and a Hot Place, Why 50 is Not the New 30, oh please, Tracy, please, came out in 2011, was optioned for a TV movie by Lifetime. Tracy will be talking about this later, I hope, in addition to this stuff. She blogs on her own site and for the Huffington Post, and for Wow 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 Wow, Society for Drug-Free America, Tiny Buddha, and various other sites. She runs gratitudeandtrust.com with her partner, Paul Williams, who I will introduce in a second. Okay, yes. You know, I've been doing this for a while, and I can tell a lot about people by their bio. And we've had so many amazing people in this room. And I have found that the loveliest and humblest of people have bios this big. And it's the people that need the pages and pages and pages that are the blowhard, and we don't really have too many of those, but Paul, he has like the little sweet little bio, just humble little thing, mentions a couple of things. I'm going to just add a couple of things to it, but one thing I have to say is I have not heard not one negative thing about you from anybody, anywhere, ever.
Oh, your chance to finally have a
I am telling you, of everyone we've had here, you are the most unanimously beloved. And it's not just because of your personality, it's because of your kindness and your generosity of spirit. And it comes up again and again and again. I cannot tell you how many people on Facebook have said, please say hello to Paul, and remind me of, and they tell me these little stories that they have with you, which I'm going to email you all of them so you can get everybody's love. But so much love to you comes. Okay. Little bio, giant man. Since we began, okay, I did all that. Paul Williams is an Oscar, Grammy, and Goldie Hawn, and a Golden Globe winning Hall of Fame songwriter. Rainbow Connection, Evergreen, We've Only Just Begun, winner of the 2014. Is he fucking current or not? And wait a minute, do those robots drink coffee? And what do they do? But anyway, he just won the Grammy as a collaborator on Daft Punk's Random Access Memories, which I don't listen to any new music, but that's on my iTunes. Oh my God, what a fantastic! Oh yeah, and he's also president of ASCAP. Yeah. Oh my God, yes, he is the president of ASCAP. And a tireless advocate is correct. He is a major public force in the recovery movement as well, a graduate of UCLA's Drug and Alcohol Counseling Certification Program, and has served as a member of the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence on their board of directors. He was a founding member and counselor for the Musician's Assistant Program, now the treatment wing of Music Cares, which, by the way, I optioned a music reality show some years ago, and all the money was going to go to Music Cares, so maybe it'll get resurrected and we'll figure out how to get that to you. Paul has been a passionate public advocate for the recovery movement for the past 20 years. We've got a bit of 2 degrees. Your birthday brother and Daft Punk collaborator, Nile Rodgers, used to come to my jams in New York back in the day, and you share a birthday. That's so crazy, yes. Okay. A power of example all over the place, who has written some of the greatest songs of all time. And I begged for one of them today, and I hear he's going to do it. Yay! Today, he is accompanied by Grammy winner himself and my Facebook pal, and I'm going to screw up your last name. Say it, Jon.
Gilutin.
Oh, I was going to say that. Jon Gilutin is going to... Jon has played with James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, and Cher, to name but a tiny bit of a huge list. Women's and men's and children of no ages. Please welcome Tracy Jackson, Paul Williams. And are we going to sing first or let's...
What do you want to do? You want to talk or sing?
You choose. Both, but I don't have to sing. So
let's sing first, and then we'll move into recovery. And I'm sorry, Mariana, can I be your sister wife? Oh, I'm kidding. Okay.
That's funny, that's your term, too. Jon, thank you. Sit down.
Okay. Do you want stools?
I know.
Did you
I'm a little big.
you know, so like in the day, did you do any blow because it would have been...
I did that too, you know. I could only do that for a short time because it was too much.
Absolutely sober, you know, I never got quite that hot.
I saw you on Mike Douglas pretty fucking high.
Oh, I know.
That's one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. What?
Well, first of all, Vicki, thank you for having Tracy and I here. This is an interesting energy. First of all, it's a lovely mix of creativity. It's a lovely mix of there's some sobriety out there, and beyond that, the thing that I feel, and it's intense, and it's interesting because this will dive right into your pre-speaker head, is what I feel is passion here. What I feel is passion about what you all do, and that's already seeped into, I think, to both Tracy and I. Because Tracy turned to me at one point, she said, you know, compared to Vicki right now, I'm in a coma. That's in the sentence is why I wrote the book with Tracy Jackson. It was her idea. She is, you know, I would tell you that when we decided, I let her write everything first, and then I add my name, because that's kind of what it was like doing the book too. Like she had this amazing energy and all. So I'm used to working with somebody who's really, really high energy. You make her look like a slumlord. So I didn't set out to do that. I did not set out to become a sex object. I did not. The best laid plans. One of the great bits of information in my life is that no is a gift. Because I set out to be an actor, you know, and that was, you know, I had all this stuff going on. I felt like Montgomery Clift, and I knew I was going to have an amazing career as an actor. I felt like Montgomery Clift. I looked like Haley Mills. So it was hard for me to get a job as an actor, but I played kids and did a couple movies. The big movie that I thought was going to make my career was a movie called The Chase, with Marlon Brando, Robert Redford, Jane Fonda, this huge cast, and little Paul Williams in the movie as well. So it was like, this is it. My mother was a widow lady back in Denver. I brought her out to live with me, and I said, Mom, from now on, you are going to be on Easy Street because the run of the litter is about to become a movie star. The movie comes out, and I'm not in it. I've got 2 lines. I say, he's going to need a better lawyer than your daddy. The voice 2 octaves up from that, and it just, you don't build a career on it. So the phone did not ring off the hook. And then they took the phone out. And Mom got a job, you know. And what am I going to do? Well, what I did is on the set of The Chase, the guy had a guitar, and I picked up, and he went, don't. That's a very expensive guitar. That's a Martin guitar. If you want a guitar, go get one. So I bought a little one at a pawn shop. I painted it so it looked really good.
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
And I started doodling. And when I did, I found it's like, and so I'd stay up all night in my jammies while my mom slept because she was going to work the next day, and I would sit there and I'd write these songs. You know, my mother would get up in the morning, she'd look at me and she'd go, don't worry, my son, God has a plan. And then she'd turn away and you'd hear her mumble something like, son of a... What's he going to do? And she'd talk to herself. My mother would always talk to herself. You know, and I would ask her, I said, Mom, what's the matter? What's the matter? And she'd go, which for her was a word. You wouldn't understand, I'm just feeling old. So years later, Roger Nichols plays me this beautiful melody, and he says, I want you to write some words to this. What do you think? I listened to it, I said, what am I going to write about? And then I remembered my mom. I'm talking to myself and feeling old.
Oh.
Sometimes I'd like to quit. Nothing ever seems to fit. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. And what I've got, they used to call the blues. Nothing is really wrong. I'm feeling like I don't belong. Walking around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. You're funny, but it seems I always wind up here with you. Nice to know somebody loves me. Oh, funny, but it seems it's the only thing to do. Run and find the one who loves me. What I feel has come and gone before. There's no need to talk it out. No, we know what it's all about. I've been hanging around and I got nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. I've been walking around, some kind of lonely clown. Rainy days and Mondays, you know, I told you we didn't need to rehearse. Gets me down. Wrote with Roger Nichols. I'm gonna sing one more song. And you want to talk for a while and then sing? You want to talk? You know, well, you know what? Why don't we close it out with this? Maybe then we'll sing later. Yeah. Why don't I introduce the amazing woman that I wrote this book with, and let her come up and the two of us can kind of deal with. Let me grab. I do have some.
Do you guys want those high black stools?
Would you welcome Tracy Jackson?
You know, when I hear you sing, I don't know why I ever yell at you.
Book?
Never to yell at you again, just sing.
Yeah, if we can move that back, we'll just put these in front. Then
I brought you some water, lady.
Thank you, sir.
Water. The piece you read.
Oh, the Andy.
Andy. You want this?
I will eventually.
Here, you know what? You can use this for your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do this.
Oh, we have a little thing. She does everything.
I clear.
Our books to say, because I know you guys really showed us Paul, but I just want to say, because this is obviously a group called, you know, Women Who Write, and it is hard to be a woman who writes. And it's not really in this part of the story, it's in my other book, but I had a really good career for like 23 years, and, you know, as Paul says, and we say in the book, no can sometimes be a gift. And when I was approaching 50, I woke up one day, and my career started, I could see it drifting away. I was like a funny girl.
Drift away. Oh, never.
Drift away. But, and, you know, I was a funny girl, and I was getting on in years, and there was a whole new group of people, and everybody wanted someone who sounded like Judd Apatow, and, you know, the Lena Dunhams were coming up, and I'd had my day. And I kind of knew it was time to leave, but I didn't know where to go. And And I was really upset and very depressed and spent about 6 months crying on my desk. And then I started writing books. But I think in terms of writing and your dreams coming true, when I was a little girl, like many of you here, Paul Williams I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
So when I hear him sing these songs, I can't believe I really so smart right now. But until now, all these no's that came along, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this, maybe, you're not going to ever. Now I'm sitting here at 56 years old, having written this book, which I wouldn't trade for anything in the world, with the man that I was, 13, I guess, then idolized. So it's what I want to say to women who write is, you know what, you can just do anything.
Yeah. Amen.
You set your mind to it, you can do fucking anything. Okay? Just make your dreams come true. That's really. But there was a wonderful thing Paulo Coelho said the other day on Super Soul Sunday, which we just taped.
We just taped.
And Paulo Coelho said on the show that there were these two pillars, one of discipline and one of compassion. And I thought that was the most beautiful statement because it's, people just sort of expect something to happen. And I taught writing for a lot of years, and a lot of my students didn't work, and I'd come in and go, you don't have to write, but I have a career whether you write or not, And with writing, it's like, then it's changed, but it's with writing, it's like you do it, you got to get up and you got to show up and you do the work, and then you just sort of have to let the higher power take over and see where it goes. So thank you all for having us. I mean, it's a really warm, unbelievable audience, and it's like, so just keep doing it, girls. Don't let the guys, like, I had to go in the room yesterday with Adam Carolla and Paul and all these high testosterone guys with like motor oil all around, and like fight for my place, and I did, but you gotta fight for your place. So that's my little pep talk to all of you, and whatever, right? Gratitude and trust.
Gratitude. Let me also give you a little background on how we met and how just a little bit of the landscape of this relationship. We met when you were about 22, I think.
Like that.
Early 80s, and we met in.
So Robert, picture in Weighty Issues. If you turn to your book, you can see it.
We met in Robert Mitchum's bedroom.
Oh my God!
And I was doing with Robert Mitchum what I've always dreamed of doing with Robert Mitchum, getting loaded. It was it was the 80s. The 80s were. I was gone in the 80s and all, but this wonderful, wonderful young girl comes in and says, "I love your music." And I said, and the most vapid, narrow-minded, misogynistic, sexist little asshole thing that could come out of my mouth came out of my mouth because I got my head, in my lap, just snorting away with the goose. I mean, I wanted to be Robert Mitchum. I tried, couldn't keep up with him. But she walks in and says, "I love your music," and I said, "Well, if it helped you get laid." Can you start a relationship at a more? Can you be more disappointing to somebody in a sentence than I was? So, on the hero's journey, we started out with, Mariana has a great quote that I love. That the axe forgets, the tree remembers. An anonymous quote that is one of my favorites. And in this particular case, that could have been the case. This could have been the end of my beginning and end of my relationship with Tracy Jackson in a heartbeat. But what happened is she continued to hear my work. She continued to hear who I think in some ways I actually am. That was coming out in spite of all the crap I was throwing into my system and all the fear-based thinking that I was covering up with all the substance. March 15th, I turned 24. I'm 24 years sober. And the world's a safer place. But Tracy and her husband came to see me at Feinstein's in 2001 or whatever, and we became great friends. And it was like, what can we do together? Let's find something wonderful to do together. And you should talk a little bit about all the people that have been so important in your life that have been in recovery as well.
Well, yeah, so much of what you read, Vicki, in that piece, there is never enough for anybody. And I'm not a drug or alcohol person. We'll read about that in a minute. But I just wasn't and am not. But I'm plenty of other things. And I've always kind of had recovery envy because all of my friends who are in recovery, you know, they were like my favorite people because they were the most honest, they were the most there, they were present, they took responsibility, they said, I'm sorry if they hurt my feelings, they you know, I just started, and I had a lot of friends who were like really sort of screwed up, and then they got better, and then they became better than ever, and my best friend, Blake Snyder, who wrote Save the Cat, a book
Yes, that's such a great,
was my oldest and dearest friend forever.
Wow.
The book is actually dedicated to Blake, who sadly died at 51 after getting sober and spending 10 years sober, just turned into a monster, and then got clean and wrote Save the Cat. And I watched how it changed Blake, I watched how it changed Paul, and I mean probably 52 other people in my life. So I just kind of had to zen because I couldn't really go to meetings because I didn't have that problem. But I always thought, what if everyone went to recovery? I would kind of walk around going, I just think everyone should just join recovery 1 year. It should be obligatory, you know, like taking driver's ed. Just kind of like people's ed, just like, you know, like responsibility ed. You know, say I'm sorry ed, you know. So that was something I always felt everyone should do, that the world would be just a nicer place. And I really wish both my parents had taken it early on for about 19 years. But, so when Paul Paul and I looked for projects over the years to studio. Actually, he'd leave somehow when I was at Sony, when I had no real deal to do pilots. The first thing I did when I went there, even after he was so horrible to me at Robert Mitchum's, I went and I go, who do you want to work with? Because that was back in the days when people said, who do you want to work with? And I said, I'd love to do a show with Paul Williams. And they went, well, if you can back the cocaine truck up, you do it. And then that was, okay. So
you mean I had a reputation?
Yeah, and they like, well, I said, well, can we get the truck? Like, no. So we wanted to do something, and he did the score for my documentary. But this was something, it just was always, you know, it's one of those, and you're writers, right? There's an idea in the back of your head that you might have for 20 years, you know, and you just don't know what day that idea is going to blossom, and you keep watering it, and you keep thinking about it, and you sort of leave it there. So when Paul did his really terrific documentary, Still Alive, he was speaking one night at an event, and I was there with my husband, and he stood up and he talked about how his choo-choo ran on the twin rails of gratitude and trust. And I went, shit, mine runs on fear and loathing. You know, I should probably try that. And so afterwards, I sent him a text or I said, you know, listen, we need to write a book. You know, gratitude and trust. Recovery is not just for addicts. And
which was the original title.
Which was the original title, but then you know, marketing went, and I was going to buy a book in Omaha that has the words, you know, recovery and addict. So it got changed. But we sold it to my literary agent, and I went in there with two ideas. This one we won. He went, that's it, that's a sale. And we had a bidding war, and we opened a website. We have a great website, gratitudeandtrust.com. We have a great Facebook, totally interactive. Paul blogs every week. I blog every week. You should all. I'm just going to push, you know, to sell.
So they
I'm going to send a big like a girl and buy that stuff. So we sat down and we just. This book is for everybody. You know, this book is that dream I always have. That this book is recovery for everybody. It takes the position that we are all addicts of some form or another. We'd like to say, how many people in this room have ever said, "This is my last"? This is my last carb. How many people said, "This is my last carb"? This is my last purchase that doesn't go to gas or groceries this month. This is the last time I yell at my kids. This is the last time I lose my temper. I mean, you name it, right? This is my last. And so this is kind of, you know, maybe you should write a song called "This Is My Last." That's a really good idea. I think you should write it.
Write it together.
So that's what this is about. This is my last, and we all fall into that heading. We all have some little thing that we do that we can stop. We call it life limiting as opposed to life threatening.
For 24 years, people have been coming up to me and saying, "I wish that we had what you have." I mean, anybody in this room that's in recovery gets that. You know, somebody comes up and they go, "You know, you were face down here and spittled in the '80s, you know." And all of a sudden, look at your life. You talk about those amazing things, you know. And yeah, in the '70s, I had huge success. None of it felt like the sense of absolutely belonging in the middle of the herd when I got sober. When I walked into a room and I instead of protecting my ego, instead of honoring my fear, when I walked into a room and I said, "You know what? I'm scared to death. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to get through a day without my drugs. I think I'm going to die. You got to help me." There were people there. And my life began, and the big thing I would say about my life is that I haven't chased anything since then.
Wow.
I have accepted everything that's come to me. And if you told me in 1989 when I had my last drink, March 15th, 1990 is my recovery date over a Valium, a tiny little Valium. I mean, it was my girlfriend's Valium, so it was practically like this. If you told me, you know, in 1989 that someday you're going to be sitting with Tracy Jackson, you will have just written a book called Gratitude and Trust, that you'll be president and chairman of the board of ASCAP, that you will have won the Album of the Year at Grammy at age 74.
Above us are the big books, so that right now it's in 1 week, so we're really happy.
Great.
So
I will also tell you that if you remember that program that I'm a member of, that I don't mention at a public level, I'll tell you that one of the things I'm most proud of, what I've been absolutely dedicated to, and what Tracy not only was dedicated to, but made a deal point to the publisher. You cannot break the tradition that he honors within the organization that saved his life. So there's nowhere in the book that says that I'm a member of that organization that I won't even mention here. The way we wound up writing the book, that we were able to get around that is all that we wrote in a single voice. And what amazed me is the fact that we would sit down and write separately, and Tracy would cut and paste the stuff together, and it sounded like one voice. And that was magical to me. That we'd found that stream of a voice together. But then we go into our separate paths, our separate boxes, and write and talk about who we are. So with permission, we'd like to read just this is. Should I go first?
Yours goes first.
My eyes goes first tonight, you know, but
Her?
Paul's path. This is Paul's path. She's going to read Tracy's path. My name is Paul, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Hi, Paul.
Which is a little like saying you're from New York, New York. You know you're an alcoholic when you misplace a decade. I misplaced the 80s. I also had a brief affair with cocaine, an expensive little chemistry experiment that lasted almost 25 years. There were many years when someone else was using my body. There's very little Hemingway blood and guts in my drunk-a-log. I never emerged from a blackout with a Russian arms dealer. I never came to in a sleazy Russian or sleazy Parisian hotel with Norman Mailer and a couple of hookers. I'd come out of a blackout in the boys' department of Sears. Trying on sweaters. Enveloped by suffocating yarn in the shape of a deformed reindeer. Alcoholic terrors, one size fits all. My father drank excessively, and it eventually killed him. I was 13 when he died in an alcohol-related car wreck. Due to financial difficulties my mother was experiencing, I was forced to move in with an aunt who lived 1,000 miles away in Long Beach, California. Thus, I basically lost my father and my mother at the same time. A one-way ticket to isolation and lack of belonging to anyone, anywhere. It's a situation that would plague me for years to come. The sense of belonging, fitting in, and being socially comfortable came with the confidence alcohol can provide. I started drinking in my teens. I don't know exactly when I crossed the line from use to abuse to addiction, but I can tell you that at the peak of my disease, I began each day with a drink. Excessive? Nay, I did not think so. I thought everyone started their day with a glass of vodka in the shower. Songwriting changed everything in my life. Signed by A&M Records, I began writing for many of the most successful artists of the decade, as well as the living legends of music. My songs were recorded by everyone from Elvis to Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald to Miss Piggy. My walls started filling up with plaques, and the shelves began to amass awards. I was nominated for 6 Oscars, winning in 1977 for Evergreen, the love theme from A Star Is Born, which I co-wrote with. It's amazing to be creative to me. Everybody's reading their own thing into that. I had hits with Three Dog Night, The Carpenters, Helen Reddy, and Kermit the Frog. I won a Grammy for the soundtrack for the Muppet movie that I wrote with Kenny Asher, soundtrack which included The Rainbow Connection. The writing success led to recording my own songs and performing live before thousands, touring, television, and more movies. Yet, my drinking and using increased. How did I get here? Did I really belong? I had an Oscar on my piano and a star on Hollywood Boulevard. It still was not enough. There was some dark place deep inside my being that continued to feel like the outcast. Alcoholism is a progressive disease, and it wasn't long before my dependence led me to a place where leaving the house to perform or work was almost impossible. Isolation is a characteristic of the sickness. It was only a matter of time before I'd traded sitting on Johnny's couch for hiding in my bedroom. 3 a.m. and I'm loaded on cocaine, peeking out the Venetian blinds, looking for the tree police. I know they're out there. You've been there, some of you. Taking illicit drugs and excessive drinking were the only things I'd known to fill the void in my chest and pacify the cravings. I'd become so dependent on the substances that I lived in a constant state of hunger for more, cravings. My life was all about cravings. The high that had come with the early usage was gone forever. I needed rehab. I couldn't do it anymore. I was going to die. So I asked for help. I asked for help. And so my journey began. I've been sober since March 15th, 1990. The life I have today is beyond anything I could have imagined in the midst of my disease. I enjoy a new freedom and a new happiness. I am an advocate of recovery. I am as enthusiastic about the way of life today as I was in those first few sober days at the center of the herd. Recovery gave me a worldwide family and a simple guide to living life on life's terms. That's how I got here. I'm a very lucky man.
Oh.
I'm Tracey, and I'm not an alcoholic.
Hi, Tracey.
Thanks for saying hi. No one ever says hi. Yeah, because people who don't drink need highs too, right? Okay. Well, I never turned to alcohol or drugs to self-soothe. I did plenty of other things. Too many men, overeating, overspending, and catastrophic thinking took the place of vodka and cocaine for several decades of my life. It's not out of some overwhelmingly impressive character trait that I was able to literally walk away from endless lines of coke sliced in front of me, hand back Quaaludes slipped at me at dinner parties, or even refuse Hunter S. Thompson's pleas to take a hit off his hash pipe.
Oh, wow.
I was actually scared. I'm one of the few people who believe the film Reefer Madness. One in. You know when they make those films, they say, if we can prevent one person from if after seeing this film, one person says no to grass, LSD, cocaine, that one person will make this film a success. Okay, Reefer Madness, you did your job. Home run. I totally bought into marijuana being a one-way ticket to heroin addiction. I walked away from so many drugs, I could have been Nancy Reagan's poster girl. Honestly, like everything, always. I had an aging 3 Quaaludes. I had like 50 of them in my apartment. A guy walked in and went, yeah, 50 Ludes. I'm like, yeah, take them. Nothing. Ever. So I said yes to, so I said no to everything. Though I said yes to way too many men whose names I can't now remember, but whose, at the time, my phone number was the first thing they happened to forget. I would like to say to the producers of Reefer Madness, while you are making life-saving films, you should have done one called Just Because He Wants to Sleep With You Doesn't Mean He Will Love You a Lot and Make Up for the Fact That Your Father Doesn't. While my career was glamorous and steady, it was not as high voltage as Bull's. My childhood was isolated and lonely in many of the same ways his was. I, too, felt like I never belonged. I was not popular in school. I grew up very fast in order to be my mother's best friend. Like 50% of parents, mine split up. They did so when I was 4. I don't think in the absolute divorce undermines a child's security, but it certainly calls much of it into question. My father had a bit of the magician in him. He had the ability to vanish, then reappear with regularity. Years would pass when I would not see him at all. He'd fight with my mother, create some unspoken displeasure with me, and that just sent him away. And I would run into him in public. But he would ignore me.
Wow.
The episode, and we lived in a really small town, Santa Barbara, so I ran into him a lot. The episode that stands out most is being 7 and seeing him in the supermarket. He pushed his cart right past me without saying a word.
Oh.
That alone might set up a lifelong pattern of reaching out to the wrong men to love you.
Mm-hmm.
While I find it annoying listening to successful grown-ups whine about their childhoods and blaming all their problems on their parents, I think many people carry pain from their childhoods, and it influences most, if not all, of the maladaptive behavior patterns they will repeat until they decide to do something about it. Comedy is what saved me. Funny means you can make jokes at your own expense and others. It means you can see the world through a scrim that makes even raw situations really amusing. And it puts distance between you and your pain. But the drawback to that is, it also puts off the act of really dealing with your pain. During the many years I was not able to own my own unhappiness, my behavior was a big indicator. I had been a lifetime spiritual seeker, starting with an obsession with peanuts and the great wisdom of Charlie Brown. In my teens, I devoured everything from the self-help sections: Hugh Prather, M. Scott Peck, Alan Watts. FYI, the last two were both alcoholics. And that brings us to the subject of this book. I've always been a bit jealous of my friends in the program. I'm not in any way minimizing the suffering they had to go through to get there. I'm just jealous of the foundation the principles of recovery gave them and continues to give them. So I've spent some time over the years wondering, if it works so well for them, why can't it work for those of us who have problems? Real problems. They just don't happen to be classified as addictions. So I would maybe argue to say they were all addicts of some sort or another.
Tracy Jackson.
Tons of reading, and you probably have questions, and you want Polly to sing Rainbow Connection. So we're just going to read you like a little sort of taste of a book, just so you kind of get an idea. It's like, you know, we're not going to be preachy.
Tracy, could you turn that light so it's shining more on them? I just noticed the bulb over your head just went out.
So
Well,
it probably doesn't show my
plenty of
real.
light here, right?
I don't need to highlight
There's a light that is beyond.
Should we start with just the wig chapter for the fun of it?
Oh, sure.
We're just going to like breeze around, or should we start with what?
Can I ask you a question?
We're riffing with you guys.
While you're looking at what page you want to write,
Read.
Read. Thank you. You're not
Or
gonna
all right,
write.
we can write for you too.
I'm getting that the reason you guys wrote this book is because recovery is for everybody.
That was your recovery is not just for addicts. The fact is that that I'm in recovery from a life-threatening disease. But what about everybody that's walking around with life-limiting habits?
Ooh, I like that.
We have a collection of maladaptive behaviors that we listed here. Everything which we'll read a little bit.
Do you have
of as well,
that phrase in the book, life-limiting
But,
behavior?
Yeah,
That's excellent.
Anything we say probably is in the book. John, except stuff from like the Tonight Show, which is not in the book.
So I'm just telling you, women, that you don't need to be an addict to buy this book.
No.
You just need to be a human
As
being.
a matter of fact,
Better.
one of the really sweet things about this is doing shows with somebody that is a host of a show who is an addict who says, look, I'm 17 years sober, but as I'm reading the book, I realize I want to go back because there are things that are jumping out of the book of me that I need to do. Elements that I can put pieces of my life shiny side up that I've missed. But absolutely, the thing is that Tracy points out that people in recovery kind of have their own language. If we expand this into a language for the rest of the world to hear, I think that there are a couple things that may happen that would be the greatest gift of my life. One is that people will be able to share the kind of gift that I've been given, to really focus their lives and to not struggle with success, but allow it to come. I think it's part of what this does and all. But I think there are probably a lot of people who look at that may have, sit at the edge of that life-threatening disease, who, because of the stigma of alcoholism, have stayed away from it. Hopefully we can reduce some of the stigma with this. The heroine of that story will always be Betty Ford for me, who stood up and said, my name's Betty Ford and I'm an alcoholic. Senator Harold Hughes, and the first senator to stand up in the Senate and say, my name is Senator Harold Hughes and I'm an alcoholic. So hopefully people, when you learn the language a little bit, and you find, oh my God, these alcoholics are not really that different from me. This is something that I've got, I just cannot, late at night when nobody's around, I want to watch, I go back to SwedishFlyGirls.com and I just become up again and again and again. There's a lot of it, as I say, the devil delivers these days. You can sit in your room, totally isolated, shop, do porn, you can go right down the line of whatever. So what do you want
I think,
to do?
what we're going to do? We're going to, be traditional. We're going to,
Yeah.
She just Show me your badge.
Smoking? Cigarettes?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
your last cigarette.
Bravo, bravo.
Good for
It's
you.
been 2 days.
Excellent.
I put a thing over it so I can't rip it off.
All right, you got it. All right.
All right, so then we're gonna, all
I
right.
understand.
Okay, so we're not going to read you a lot and bore you, and I'm going to do as soon as my time. That's it, okay?
That's really good.
Okay.
I think gratitude is the best ever gift out of anger.
Absolutely. And trust is the antidote to fear.
Fireball
Trust takes
for
care of
fear.
fear. Gratitude deals with anger. Well said.
Okay, so we've kind of already covered addiction with you guys. We're kind of, you guys, we move so fast. We're trying to keep up with Vicki here, so it's like, you're only like,
We were down to
if one gathered together 25 random people and made them all stand up and talk about the problems in their lives, every one of them would have made a bad love choice, sabotaged an opportunity, hurt someone while defending their own position, or worried about not being able to control their weight, their temper, their lust for the girl or boy next door. We all have a laundry list of things we have done or continue to do that we're ashamed of and would like to change. But before you can change anything, especially something that is most likely harbored in your subconscious, you have to be able to identify it. Everything needs a label. You need to give your problems a label. We use labels for a reason, to let us know what's what. Without labels, we would pour tomato soup on our cereal instead of milk, and we would pour Drano in the washing machine. So to help you find the right label, let's have a look at the granddaddy of shopping lists of bad behavior. The 7 deadly sins.
The 7 deadly sins. Wrath, greed, sloth, pride, lust, envy, and gluttony may look like eternal damnation for a Catholic priest, but for some of us, they're just a nice way to spend the weekend. I'll have lust and gluttony to start with, a side of greed. Let's start with wrath. Someone nabs your parking spot, and the first thing out of your mouth is a remark about the other person's maternal parent, followed by a sexual slur, road rage, short-tempered with the kids, boss always pissing you off. Actually, these days, everything pisses you off. If that sounds about right, you might have anger issues. Is I'll do it later the first thing that comes out of your mouth when a task is presented to you? Is a job half done is acceptable to you? Is a job well done? Is your house a mess? Is your checkbook unbalanced? Sounds like sloth. If for you there is any truth in the claim that the average male thinks about sex once a minute, lust is the runaway lead in your issues to be dealt with department. Same goes for if you're a woman. Lust is one of society's biggest problems, from porn addiction to serial philandering to sexting. But lust comes in many forms, especially when it comes to our stuff, like your neighbor's car or swimming pool. But we guess we'll be moving on to envy with that one, which is really just the marriage of lust and greed. Obsessing over your co-workers, English is not my first language. Obsessing over your co-worker's iPad mini, that's envy. Over your co-worker's fiance, well, that's lust, envy, and greed all rolled up into one. Supersize me one more time. Give me a G for gluttony. You get the idea.
One of the big problems that people have, people have, and when they start to fix things, and many of you probably do know this, is we always put it off. You know, there's always that list of things that we're going to get to.
procrastination.
Procrastination. So I'm just going to read you a little bit of them. We have these things here. They're called poly boxes and Tracey boxes. It's just such an intimate room we can show them. So it's like where we separate into our own voices. So this is a little Tracey box that I'm going to read you about how to deal maybe with some of your stuff. Okay. Soon is not a time. This is a statement I end up uttering to my children on a regular basis. Kids are great procrastinators. If you have children, or perhaps just carry on heads-to-heads with your inner child, you might identify with some of these conversations. Have you done your homework yet? Soon. Have you emptied the trash? Soon. Have you cleaned your room? Soon. Have you brushed your teeth? Soon. The adult version goes more like this. I'll get that colonoscopy. Soon. I will stop hoarding and deal with the fact that I can't find the garage door through all the boxes. Soon. I will lose the 25 pounds soon. I'll file away last year's income tax return. Yeah, I'll do that soon. And I'll start getting my resume in order, and I'll take that Excel class down at the community college so I can maybe get the better job I really want. I'll get to that soon. Soon, I will repeat, is not a time. Today, this minute, 1:05 p.m. is the time. To really make a change, the best time to start is with that real time. And that real time is now.
Woo!
Like weight, and this is girls, and girls really do care about their weight, you know, even though we say
Well, us guys do too. Let's
yeah,
not.
we do. So we're gonna. The biggest problem we get on our website, which I keep pushing because that's my job is to push stuff. We get a lot of people from, and we want to show you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do weight. So go to weighty issues. I'm like the boss, as you can tell. Girl power, right?
Yeah.
We'll go page there. Yeah. There's a whole spiritual thing in here, and we're going to stay away from that. Our spiritual step is...
This is a spiritual enough room. I
Yes,
can
it's
sense it.
Yeah, I think you guys
You
kind
can.
of...
And I have a question. When you're rolling through there, if you would, before you finish, give us like a couple tools.
we'll go back. We're going to do the 6 affirmations. For
Okay,
you guys.
that'd
Come
be
on,
great.
let's do it. Polly, page 28.
6 affirmations.
I'll go into
You,
pink, and then you pick up at yellow.
Alrighty, good.
You've undoubtedly made attempts, but you're stuck. Maybe you've written lists, set goals, made promises, but everything you've tried so far has most likely failed. It probably feels like you're always taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. The dance of a life off kilter. Or perhaps you've had a brief period of improved behavior and then stumbled, staggered, and slipped back or relapsed to what was familiar. Call it what you will, you need help. You need a blueprint to show you how to change your mindset, which in turn will change your actions. You need a new routine to replace the old one.
The people who seem to have it together usually have some set of rules, a code of behavior, guidelines, mantras, koans, prayers, something outside of themselves that allows their interior compass to return to the right direction time and time again. Some get it from organized religion, others from sports, books, or good parents who set them up to succeed. Some people just know what to do, although even they get off course from time to time.
6 affirmations of personal freedom. The 6 affirmations we offer are useless if you don't employ them vigorously and often. At best, they'll become lovely little sayings worthy of a needlepoint pillow. To make them effective tools in reconstructing the way you live your life, you will need to make them as much a part of your life as you do your toothbrush, your razor, or hopefully your morning run.
Number 1, something needs to change, and it's probably me.
You start there. And then you go to number 2, I don't know how to do this, but something inside me does.
Number 3, I will learn from my mistakes and not defend them.
Number 4, I will make right my wrongs wherever possible.
Number 5, I will continue to examine my behavior on a daily basis.
And number 6, I will live my life in love and service, and gratitude and trust.
Those are our affirmations.
That's the essence of
They have the roots of that are in Buddhism and Hinduism and Judeo-Christian ethics.
the Oxford group.
We really looked at the Oxford group. The Oxford group was a great place for us to really examine what the fact is the 12 steps really evolved out of that. But there's, I think that they're friendly, they're sensible, and they work. I mean, you know, when we started,
we'll get to here and we'll still see. So right. This is so great. I only hope we're about to go on a 3-month tour. I only hope every room is welcoming and open and.
They will not be. We are the best room. It doesn't get better than
okay,
this.
we're just staying here.
Mariana,
we're going to move in here.
We are confident we are going to be your favorite stop on your book
Okay.
tour.
So those of you who bought books, turn to page 129.
Oh, I love this. We've never done this.
We're like in class.
I know. I'm like so
You like
OCD
it,
bossy.
I do.
I'm so OCD bossy. You all figure it out. Anyway, so So if you look at that, that's the day that Paul and I met in Robert Mitchum's bedroom. And we were both 30 pounds more than we are right now.
Oh, I was more than that.
Well, okay, fine. And you're smoking. Yeah, I mean, we're just, you know. So,
Look happy.
well, you know, we didn't know the difference. But
It's not there. It's
I
not
just,
there.
but weight is a big, you know, weight is a big issue. And on our site, after, you know, other kinds of addiction, substance, food seems to be the biggest thing that people write in to talk about with us. And that's really the thing people have the hardest on. Sugar addiction is the #1 addiction in America, bar none.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hands down. So we're going to just do those, and you're going to lighten the room here. So anyway, without question, one of the biggest health problems in America today is being overweight and obesity. To put it into perspective, 15% of the adult population are considered problem drinkers, while a whopping 68% are overweight and 35% are classified as obese. While neither one of us would have been considered obese when you look at our photo, we both fell into the overweight camp. Between us, we have gained and lost at least 3 Jon Gilutins in our life.
Our relationship with food is often rooted in addiction. After all, addiction is the child of need, the missing parent, a lover's rejection, a loneliness no heavily booked social calendar can erase. The need to be accepted and held in safe and caring arms may not be instantly recognizable, but it can be the source of a voracious hunger that demands to be fed.
40% of those who lose weight on diets put back on not only the lost poundage, but additional ones as well. Only a measly 10% of those who lose weight on diets actually keep it off. This is... okay, there is hope! This is why we don't believe in diets per se. At least they never worked for us.
Paul and Tracey.
I did Scarsdale.
I did cocaine.
Cocaine worked for me.
I did Jenny Craig.
I did amphetamine.
I did Ben & Jerry's.
I did Atkins 3 times.
I did Atkins too with a lot of vodka.
Any diet where you can have bacon on top of your bacon with Russian dressing all over it works for me.
Any diet where I could have vodka in the shower works for me.
I did pregnant women's urine injections. I lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks, and I gained it all back after 1 tuna fish sandwich.
I did more amphetamines and a couple poppers, and I got a few people pregnant.
So clearly covering from food addiction has problems not faced by the alcoholic or maxi indulgers. Abstinence from food would lead to death. You have to eat. It's worth repeating that one of the most important and workable parts of the recovery movement is the concept of a day at a time. But let's table the food for a minute. We're not here to talk about what you eat, but rather why you eat and when you eat. Even though what you eat has real bearing on your weight, once you nail the others, it's easy to control.
Of course, to make a change, one needs to know what needs fixing. Time to start digging for the truth. Ask yourself, what void am I filling with food? Where and when did this start? Do you want to read any more there? I think that is
that enough about food?
You know, I
We're
think the fact, I put it down to this flat out simple statement. I have a God-shaped hole in the center of my chest. I tried to fill it with work, I tried to fill it with sex, I tried to fill it with food, with booze and everything like that. What the fact is, for me to do with I had to put what fit in that. For me, that was a sense of being cared for by what I call the big amigo. I mean, it's this. The big amigo is this amazing energy that picked me up out of the gutter and put my life back on track and all of it.
Do you think you should read that last little bit of gratitude and trust
You
and
can
open
do
to
it. Oh, I
questions?
love
Wait a
that.
minute, believing in God, like, kept you skinny?
You know,
Wait a minute, this isn't how
It's like Morgan Freeman
No.
comes down and says, close the refrigerator.
What got me skinny is 2 years ago, beginning to work on this, my son looked at me. It was amazing. My son looked at me and he said, "Dad, you're beginning to look like a cookie jar." He's 31, you know, and I wanted to hold his head underwater, but then I realized, no, he's telling me the truth. And we're writing the affirmations, and I looked at my stomach, I looked at my son, and I said, something needs to change, and it's probably me. That probably is a really interesting little bit of wiggle room. I have this feel. So I started walking, and then I started running. I ran this morning. As Mariana will tell you, I run 2 miles every morning, no matter where I am. At 12 degrees in Central Park, I do my 2 miles in Central Park. It's my meditation. Something needed to change, and it was me. And it works, and it works. But the Big Amigo is there for everything.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just read a tiny bit and then open it, because you guys probably have questions.
What page are you on?
It is page 2, you pick it up at 234 on your yellow sticker. Make more evident tonight.
Linda said it's like being in shul. They tell you what page to go to.
But we have to turn backwards or forwards?
Do I start it with the woman?
Yeah.
Well, there's no, so you do the work, and you get the results. And you live in love and service. Well, there's no merit badge or medal to pin to your chest. The quality of life in the days ahead will be their own reward. So celebrate your commitment to a glorious future by quietly continuing to embrace the beauty in each day. To ensure your forward motion, there is one thing you must do: stay grateful. Gratitude for all you were given is the fuel that life runs on. Make it a resting place in your busy day. Stop often to acknowledge the gifts you've received. A deep breath is a rewarding place to start. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel your lungs expand with each inhalation and wonder at your body's ability to convert that oxygen into a substance your blood can carry to all parts of your physical being. The miracle of our bodies. Rejoice. Say it. Thank you for this blessed breath. Thank you for this gift. When you say these things, you are speaking from the highest place of your mortal being. You become one with this almighty life source as you acknowledge its presence. Gratitude.
Wow.
And trust. You have company, undefined perhaps. At this point, you may be experiencing that warm sense of the invisible companion. Trust. Believe completely, for the unknown will be revealed to you in time if you stay on course, and that ultimately you'll be led to your own true place. For now, trust. You're exactly where you need to be. And stay strong. Stay focused. Live in the moment. Do not give in to your worst impulses. Make right your wrongs. Live responsibly and with faith. Give a little love to yourself and those you come in contact with. And you'll be amazed at the quality of your life. Blessings from both of you.
A little debauchery question. Can you tell us like a favorite using story? I mean, you have to have showbiz stories out the wazoo, but do you have like a favorite using story where like?
I have the one that got me here.
Okay,
I have
please.
the one that got me here, and it's a spectacular part of my life. And it's
in the book.
It's in the book. It's the story of. I went to. I did rehab twice. And before the first time I tried to get sober, I screwed it up. I tried to get sober for somebody else. It doesn't work when it's for somebody else. So I was out and drinking and using. I was living with a young lady that I was trying to convince that I was sober. I was lying through my teeth about it. I became a chronic and habitual liar to hide my medicine. That's what we do. Anyway, I went to Oklahoma City to play a concert. And I had a full tilt psychotic meltdown. I mean, for like 40 minutes, I was tortured by a monster that I could see that nobody else could see. I was thrown down what I thought was escalator stairs. I found out later there's no escalator in that building. They were moving for me, but not for everybody else. There was a little monster that looked just like a child version of me that I could see. He was biting my neck. He was twisting my ears. I felt like I was going to die. I couldn't breathe, you know. And this all happened as I was walking out of the hotel room, just saying hello and meeting the promoter of the gig. We're walking along talking. When he said, I talked to him later, he said that it was as if some invisible person grabbed you and threw you higher than your head against the wall. You were literally that high off the ground. I can't explain it. It was as if pure evil just picked you up. And for 40 minutes, they canceled the gig. I went on the next night or the next afternoon, and I told the audience that I'd had a reaction to my meds, which is what happened. I was medicating my fear. I'd probably been up 2 days and nights. I was drinking, I was taking a little bit of antabuse because I wanted this girl to think I wasn't using. I went back to LA and continued, despite all that, I continued.
What did you take?
Antabuse.
Is that the stuff they give people to make them stop?
Yeah, exactly. I found that I could drink and use it, but that's not. I went back to LA. This is my favorite story. I went back to LA and I continued to drink for 2 weeks, and then in a blackout I called the doctor and said I need to get sober.
Wow.
In a blackout, he called the next day and said I found a place for you. I said, what are you talking about? Somebody's using my body. What the hell is going on? And he said, well, you called me yesterday and said you want to get sober. I had no recollection.
Wow.
And I started to cry. Let me finish the story. It's pretty good. 10 years sober. 10 years sober, totally into this deal. I mean, I'd been to UCLA. I'd become the full tilt Dalai Lama of recovery. So while I was in Nashville, I was 10 years sober. I went and I spoke at the jail. And walking out of the jail, I'm just full of it. I go back to my hotel room, I go up to the hotel, I'm in the whatever floor I'm on. I'm walking up to my room, and I'm this sort of magical combination of Jiminy Cricket and Gandhi. The Dalai Lama touch the hem, I'll strike you sober, you know. And I go to my room, and my magnetic key doesn't work, and it's like, son of a bitch, the fourth day in a row the key doesn't work. It's a quick trip from Gandhi to Himmler for me. So I go back down into the lobby. And it's full of guys with badges on, and you can barely see all of them. And I go up to I've learned restraint of pen and tongue. I'm nice to the guy at the desk. I say, I know it's not your fault, but why the hell do you think I should have to come down here 4 days in a row, 4 nights in a row to get it? Why should I have to? And at which point there's a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and there's a guy standing there named Gary, and he says, hi, I'm Gary. It's a convention of talent bookers, guys that book rodeos, fairs, everything. And the guy said, I booked you a few years ago, and I just wanted to say hi. And I look at his thing, and it says Oklahoma City. And I went, oh my God. Were you the guy when I did my Linda Blair, lick me, lick me? Oh. And he said, yeah, that was me. And I went, well, I'm 10 years sober, and I went to UCLA, and blah, blah, poly this, and blah, blah, poly that, and all. And he said, yeah, I heard in the rooms you were sober. And I went, oh my God. Oh. The rooms. Did I turn you into an alcoholic? And he reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a chip for 17 years. Oh. And I said, oh my God, I did the math. I said, you were 7 years sober when this happened. He went, yeah. I said it was scary. He said, oh, Paulie. He calls me Paulie now. I didn't then do Paul. He said, I thought you were going to die. I've never been so frightened for another human being. You were absolutely lost. I said, what'd you do? He said, I called my sponsor. I said, of course you did. You called your sponsor. I said, what did you do? He said, well, I'll tell you what we did on the spot. Started calling alcoholics in Oklahoma City, and we got together a prayer circle. Oh my gosh. And we prayed that you'd God's punctuation in a way. We prayed that you would get sober. In or out of the rooms, you would get sober. And 2 weeks later, in a blackout, I called the doctor. Oh, Jesus. And if you wanna argue with me about something inside me, that's the story I'll tell you. Because when we hold hands and we pray for somebody in our room by ourselves, when we pray for help, but especially I think when we pray for someone else, there is enough power in that to spin this building, and it's the greatest gift I've ever been given. It's my story. And if we weren't recording, I'll tell you what, are we not recording right now?
Well, we can turn it off for a second. We have to hear Rainbow Connection. Mary.
I'm grateful that you're both here today, thank you. And kind of jumping off the story that you just told, is there a fellowship component to what you're talking about in your book and what you're advocating?
Well, we have a chapter called Buddy Buddy in the book, which gives a way for people to reach out, because obviously, one of the powerful things about recovery is, a place to go. What we are going to do, as soon as we have time, is we're going to start meetup groups throughout the country. Because most people know about meetup.
We have meetup.
Yeah, so we're going to start meetup groups with the book. We're going to see how this book sells. If it keeps going to the clip it's going. We're going to start meetup groups all over the country, and we travel all over the country. Wherever we go, we'll like start the first group and then hand it over, and then hopefully people will just on their own take the book, meet up, talk about the things, and have a place where they can, meet at a Starbucks, meet in someone's house like this, sit around and just do the things you do in recovery, which is just be honest about who you are and not feel alone. So yeah, that's totally on our agenda.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of other things on our agenda at the moment that we have to deal with first.
So
it's still going to happen.
do it soon.
We are going to do it soon. No, you're right, Mary, but I had a problem with my last book, which was about being 50, because I did the guys at Meetup actually came to me. I went to a thing at Hachette, the publishers in New York, and they go like, we want to set up all these groups for writers. We want to deal with writers. We want books because it's a great way to meet up. So I went down to Meetup, and I met with all the guys who run it, and they told me how to do it. And they said, give your books away, give like 10 books away. So I had, on that last book tour, I had like meetups in Atlanta, I had people in New York, I had people all over the country. And then I was on Meetup, and I was getting all these like Viagra ads and all these like penis enhancement stuff. I mean, I was getting all this like really crappy solicitation, and I was just like offering a copy of my book and saying, I'll help you be 50. And they shut me down. So, by saying I was soliciting. So I've got to do it right this time, and it's not that I'm really procrastinating, and I'm defending my mistake here, but I will learn from my mistake. But I have to do it right, and the guy who's got all the money is in Europe right now. But I want to do it right, because I don't want this one to get shut down. And I
might suggest for your blog, I don't know if you remember years ago there was a book called Women Who Love Too Much, and so there was a thing at the back of it that we started a support group based on the book. And of course, my boyfriend at the time wrote on it, women who love themselves too much. But we started a support group. And so you can maybe on your blog give suggestions so you don't have to do it because if you wait to do it formal, it might take a long time.
Yeah, well, it's in the book. I mean, they're actually in the book. It tells you how to do it, and how to reach out to called Buddy Buddy, and it's how to start, if you go hiking, wherever, whatever you want to do, just like find people that you're comfortable sharing your problems with, and use the book or your happiness, and use the book as a guideline, if you want, hopefully, we would like that. So that's, so that's a good question.
There are two other incidentally, there are two chapters. One chapter that's called The Ones We Love, which is about dealing with somebody. If you're dealing with somebody who's stuck in their addiction, how, I'm powerless over the alcohol, and if you're living with me, you're powerless over me. I've got to get there myself. So there's a chapter on dealing with, with somebody in their addiction and all. And there's one that was our favorite chapter, one of our favorite chapters. We changed the title to, but it's called Navigating the Nasties. And the original title was
Dealing with Dicks.
Dealing with Dicks.
But we wouldn't have gotten on Oprah. We had our eyes on Oprah, so if we went like, okay, is Oprah really going to put us on Super Soul Sunday? We had a chapter called Dealing with Dicks.
So we changed Dealing with Dicks to Navigating the Nasties.
And we got Super Soul Sunday, which is a good trade-off.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, in the land of Oprah, they let you know.
Well, we will be putting it on the Women Who Write group page, so everyone will watch.
I will love that.
And we definitely need time to hear the song and buy books for those of you. I saw a few of you who didn't have books. Don't embarrass me. So we're going to take about two more questions.
Two more questions.
Suzanne.
Hi, thank you so much to both of you. My name is Suzanne Long. Al-Anon for 15 years has saved my life. Literally saved my life. And I'm a stage 4 breast cancer survivor and thriver. And what I want to say about the story you told is that there are women in this room who started to pray for me the moment that I came out of the cancer closet. And it had a profound effect on me finally asking for help and receiving it. And so thank you for that story, because I know the power of that from women in this room.
Arrest my case.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Because it's a miracle. Because 3 different doctors said you have 6 months to live 3 years ago, and now I'm completely cancer free, and that's because of life lessons and a spiritual path. It was like a black belt.
She was dancing in a flash mob like not.
I was, yeah. I had a full circle moment where I was dancing at a flash mob for sick kids in a hospital. When after all the surgeries, I thought I would never be dancing again.
Yeah.
So, so thank you for the book. I was curious to know whether you talk about the fact that there are 12-step programs for almost everything that you've talked about for Sex and Love Addiction, for Debtors Anonymous, for Overeaters Anonymous. Is that?
Do we actually mention that?
Yeah, because there are programs for
We'd
so many different
There
things.
are. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the only no, not flat out. We talk about that we are not qualified if you're a full tilt alcoholic or addict. That we're not. You know, this is not the place you should go. It's to us. You know, we're not doctors. Neither one of us even went to college, to be honest with you. So, so it shows also anybody can do anything, right? But no, we don't do that because if people know that, you know, there didn't seem a point. People know that if they know that, they're there. If they don't, then they've got a book. You know, they'll find it or not. So there's things that we deal with that there are not groups for, because we go to another level. We do have those, but we have an enormous amount of other things as well. So. And we go to chapter.
And this is really recovery for normies, kind of.
You know, yeah. If anyone's normal, you know.
If I can just as an addendum to that and all, is that there's a hidden agenda in the book. And the hidden agenda in the book is that it melts. Is to melt whatever's keeping you away from stepping up to that any of those programs you made. We mentioned in the book, you know, that there are other programs and all. And if you're having trouble, please when we list there's a laundry list of maladaptive behavior. One of the very first one listed is rageaholic, you know, and if somebody that is involved in that, get one-on-one counseling right now, you know. So, but the hidden agenda in this is that when you learn a little bit about what addiction and habits out of control and that unsatisfiable hunger is about, maybe you'll step into it. If you really need to get sober, maybe you'll show up in the rooms like I did.
And actually, as you said in your really wonderful opening thing you read, they're just, you know, there really aren't enough places one can go. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you could read our book and go to, you know, Overeaters Anonymous and go to Weight Watchers. You know what I mean? It's like, the sky's the limit. You know, I'm still in therapy. I mean, he goes, so, you know, it's like, you know, whatever.
Okay, one more question.
We do a couple.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you get to sell your books. I'm feeling pressure that you have time to sell your books.
We'll get sold. Okay. We'd rather answer your questions.
Excellent.
Peggy's been like really, he's here like.
Yeah, hi Peggy.
Hi, Paul. The music has always been my medicine for whatever, and as I told you when I got here, you and I have a friend in common, and I've heard the story of You're Gone from him. I would love to hear the story of You're Gone from you. The stories behind the songs are, to me, more powerful than the song itself. It makes the song more powerful. It gives it more space in my life.
Jon Vezner is an amazing songwriter, and you know, again, it was a gift. I was supposed to go to New Zealand to do a movie, and at the last minute they called and said, we got the guy we really wanted. I went, okay. At this point, I was about 5 years into my recovery, so my reaction was, wow, surprise me, God, what's it going to be? Yeah. I knew, like, no is a gift. If I don't get this, and I'm thinking I really want this, I don't really need this. Well, what's coming that I may need? I had gotten to that place. So the next day, and like that, I got a phone call from the Nashville NSCI, Nashville Society of Nashville Songwriters Association International, said we want to give you a plaque. Come to Nashville, and so I go to Nashville, and I hadn't been writing. I hadn't written with another human being. I'd written the songs for the Muppet Christmas Carol on my own, but I hadn't written anything with. I hadn't trusted to show that part of myself to another human being. And I'm down there, and I'm listening to the songs of a bunch of people, and I hear Jon Vezner's songs, and I went, I would like to write with you. I make an appointment. Wow. So I make this appointment to go write with him. I'm in a hotel room, I get on my knees in there, and I say, Big Amigo, we're going to write a song today. It'd be really great if you showed up with an idea. Go to Jon Vezner's house. And he's got this really elaborate carved door with one of those little windows in it. You know, I'm scared to death. I ring the doorbell. He comes to the door, he opens up the little window. There's nobody there, so he leaves. Pounding on the door, and it's like, you know, and he opens up the door. He's 6'3". He's skinny. He's got a full black beard and long black hair. He's from Minnesota, so he only smiles when he has to. Welcome, you know. And I was like, oh Jesus, this is an awful mistake, you know. And I said, can I use your bathroom? I needed to pray some more. Went into his bathroom, hit my knees, and I'm on my knees, and I look up, and in the rear view, the medicine cabinet mirror, I see something reflected backwards from over my head, but I recognize it. God, grant me the serenity to accept it. I got some good stories. I go running out. I go, wait a minute. I said, the Serenity Prayer, are you? He went, yeah. I said, well, I'm doing it. He said, oh, I know. And I was like, Mommy, pick me up and love me. I felt safe. I felt safe. And you know, you can't write, you can't reach into the center of your chest and share what's going on if you don't feel safe. You've got, if you're going to get to that with another human being in the same room, you got to feel safe. So John and I sat there and we told each other stories and we got sober. And we wrote, the good news is I'm better for the time we spent together. The bad news is you're gone. Looking back, it's still surprising. I was sinking, you were rising. With a look, you caught me in midair. Now, we wrote a song called You're Gone. It became a big hit for Diamond Rio, and it was all a gift. And it was a gift to recovery.
Wow.
Again and again and again, without my reaching for it, it comes to me. It's worth it.
I just wanted to say that, first of all, I'm such a huge fan of your songs, and I'm a songwriter, I'm a lyricist, and when I was a kid, I knew your songs, but I didn't know you, and then the first time I saw you on TV, and I went, no way! That guy wrote those songs, and then I was a total fan from there, and it was like, that is too cool, and you were just too cool for school. Anyway, so I'm a huge fan, which is why I'm here today, and many years in Al-Anon, and I've always thought everyone should be required. It should be like, you know, like doing like the army in Israel. Like you should just have to do
that is Al-Anon in a
right. But you know, I come from a family that was like, oh, there she is with her recovery again, her therapy and her issues, and of course they need it so desperately. So I love that you wrote this book, but I wanted to just thank you from when you read the 6 affirmations without getting into the controversy of this. I know my mother basically died from overeating, and I watched her kill herself for years, and I watched her try diets, and she just couldn't do it. And whenever somebody suggested that she try Overeaters Anonymous, my mother, the good left-wing secular commie Jew from the 30s, you know, would go, they talk about God there. And so I, for years, didn't go into the rooms because they talk about God there, and we don't believe in God. And you know, I got what I needed to get at a whole other level, and I get that, you know, but I love that, but for a lot of people, I think if you use the language in the rooms and the principles, that's a real stumbling block for a lot of people, and it doesn't need to be. And it seems like the way you worded it, you used language that was boiling down the 12 steps into, and removing anything that might be objectionable in the way of whether you're religious or secular or have issues around that word or anything.
It was very conscious.
I thought it was, and I wanted to commend you for that and say I think that really reaches across the chasm.
I mean, thank you for noticing it. It was for me, because, and we actually address it. I'm a big believer when I'm writing or doing anything, I like to cut people off the past, so I like to say, I know you're probably thinking this, but this is why this is, yeah. And we talk about that in the God chapter. We have a chapter called God is in the Details, or Wherever You Want Him to Be. And it was really important for me to, and Paul went along with it, but it was, I think, probably more important for me, I would say that's true, to boil down God in this book. Because what you get from a lot of people, oh, that's that God shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. So we, you know, and for some people it's great. For some people they go to church every Sunday and they're fabulous people, and I know people who go to church every Sunday and they're absolutely, you know, crappy people. I mean, it's like, so whatever. But it was like, just make it what you want. And so it's only one step, you know, one affirmation, and it really is just, it's whatever. It's that's, and you know, well, you don't have really time for the glorious story, but it's in the book. You read the glorious story in the book.
Yeah, there's a story in the book
about Gloria, which is wonderful. And we talk about my spirituality, which is cobbled together. I'm a baptized Episcopalian, Jewish, Buddhist, just, you know, name it. And so it's whatever you want it to be. And that is really important, because I think people are very fearful of having to go through, sometimes, too much of that. But they need something. You know, it's like, it's a really fine little line.
Well, they need truth.
They need to believe. They just need trust.
The word gets in the way of that.
Yeah, but trust.
But trust is
the word.
People can handle.
Trust is all you need. You know, if you trust in something outside of yourself that it's going to be okay, we don't care. We gotta go.
No, just be aware.
Okay, we're running on time here.
Okay. We need the song after the last question.
One question.
Do you meditate?
I say I'm going to meditate soon, and I try and do mindful meditation, and like every 10 days I do sit down, and the days I sit down, I really feel much better, and they're better days, and I do declare, because I'm only human, that I'm going to do it every day, and I'm going to admit to all of you kind people that I don't do it every day. I opt to go to the gym instead, so I try in the gym to kind of like blank out and go to that space. I wish I did it every day. It's just there's like, the days I meditate are the best days I have. I think meditation is. But then I try and do mindful meditation, like in every task I do, I'm totally focused on the task. So that's my meditation. But I love meditation. I would just love to go to one of those quiet, sanctuaries and not speak for 2 weeks. But I would do it. Do you like I applied to one. I wanted to go, and I said, I was going to go to one up in upstate New York, and I called, and this talks about addiction, right? And they said, okay, well, if you come here, you can't have your cell phone. I want to find. They said, and you can't, there's no booze. I said, that's fine. They said, there's no meat. It's all vegetarian. It's almost vegan. I said, that's fine. They went down this whole list of all these things they were going to take away from me. You can't talk for 2 weeks. That's fine. And then they said, there's no caffeine. And I went, and I didn't go. I could go every day. I drink full-size coffees, and I couldn't go because that was a caffeine addict. I could not go to. So that I could shut up when I had. So anyway, that's. Yeah. Do you meditate? You run.
I run. My run is my meditation. My favorite sentence of the entire thing is at one point you said that we boil God down. What am I God? Remember that? We boil it down. Get this book. We boil God down.
Well, I'm going to say that in church up in Northern California next week. Okay.
God boilers.
Oh, these guys are God boilers. Okay. So anyway, thank you all very much.
Can we sing along?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have this thing where we have to sing along with one song if you'll let us.
Best of, when your alarm clock goes off in the morning and you go, oh, Jesus, and then you remember, wait a minute, I'm going to go to work with Kermit today. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side of the intonation? Perfect. Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. And rainbows have nothing to hide. Wrote myself in the corner there, right? But so we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it. Rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, the dream. My favorite lines are these lines. Well, who said that every wish would be heard and answered? Wished on the morning star. Well, somebody thought of that. Someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. And what's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do you think we might see? Someday we'll find it. Rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me, and all of us under its spell. We know that it's probably magic. Or have you been half asleep? Have you heard voices? I've heard them call
'cause it's something that we're all supposed to do. Someday we will find rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. The lovers, the dreamers. For Tracy Jackson and for myself, go write something really honest and wonderful and true, and watch the world turn and say, that's good. And hang on around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days, Mondays always get me down. And what I've got, they used to call the blues.